Good morning, DC. It is Monday, November 12th, and you are listening to Political Talk Radio with Lauren Galippo. After months of campaigning, speeches, and political advertisements, the United States voted President Barack Obama for another 4 years in office. Election night, which was projected to be a long one, drew to an early close when television networks started announcing Obama the winner around 11:20 p.m. The president defeated Mitt Romney in some of the key battleground states, including Iowa, Virginia, Colorado, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Florida, and Ohio. President Obama told citizens on election night, "Tonight, in this election, you, the American people, reminded us that while our road has been hard, while our journey has been long, we have picked ourselves up, we have fought our way back. We know in our hearts that for the United States of America, the best is yet to come." Now with President Obama back in office for a second term, ABC News reports his top 8 post-election economic issues, which include Europe, healthcare, payroll taxes, Bush tax cuts, unemployment benefits, spending cuts, green energy, and the next Federal Reserve chairman. The president said in his acceptance speech, "And in the coming weeks and months, I am looking forward to reaching out and working with leaders of both parties to meet the challenges we can only solve together. Reducing our deficit, reforming our tax code, fixing our immigration system, freeing ourselves from foreign oil." And after their loss, Republicans are beginning to strategize what they must do next to win in 2016. Some members from both parties agree on the steps the Republican Party needs to take in order to do that. Here with us today, we have Jeff Crooks with the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and Haley Vondemkamp from Congresswoman Kay Granger's office. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning, Lauren. When I look back at the election cycle and having my first experience working for a Democratic organization during it, the main point that sticks out is that extremism from the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party was a contributing factor to huge losses for the GOP in the presidency and in Senate races throughout the country. The fact is, the Republican Party apparatus has failed in trying to deal with extreme ideas that now dominate the party, and the moderates are running away. Mitt Romney had to shift too far to the right during the primaries that he became virtually unrecognizable from the governor he was in Massachusetts. Moderate Olympia Snowe retired from the Senate because of extremism and gave Democrats an opening and an independent who will likely caucus with us in a state where we wouldn't have normally won. Democrats recruited top-tier candidates in Senate races like Elizabeth Warren in Massachusetts and Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, while the Tea Party wing took over the Republican primaries, ousting moderates and electing self-destructing extremist candidates like Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch. It's clear that the formula for a winning candidate doesn't include the beliefs such as saying Social Security is unconstitutional, comparing student loans to stage 3 cancer, and discussing the circumstances of a legitimate rape. While the Democratic Party is much more of a big tent, including members of Congress with wide spectrums of belief, the Republican Party has marginalized itself, and up until this point has catered to the Tea Party, which clearly doesn't fit with the majority of American beliefs. Mitt Romney recognized this as he attempted to shift back to the middle toward the end of the election, but clearly it was too little, too late. The GOP extremism will continue to weigh down the Republican Party, even in the reddest of states, unless moderates are able to take a stand. But it's looking like the Tea Party is ready for a fight. The struggle for the heart of the Republican Party will likely continue. A clear indicator of what the future will look like will be seeing if Republicans will be willing to compromise during the fiscal cliff negotiations when Congress goes back to work.
And now we have Haley Vondemkamp. Haley, welcome.
Thanks, Jeff, and I think a lot of Republicans are on a very similar page. In the wake of this election, Republicans must reflect on what most contributed to their series of key losses. After having worked for a considerably moderate Republican Congresswoman during this election season, I think the most detrimental factor for the party's defeat was the Tea Party movement. Had the radically conservative Tea Party not gained so much media traction leading up to the campaign season, the outcome would have been much brighter for Republicans. This decentralized movement, which lacks a unified message, effectively tainted the entire party. Republican opinion leaders must come together and decide for the sake of 2016 how to frame their message. They must act as a unified force rather than a cluster of segmented ideologies. Also crucial to the Republican Party's future is their willingness to compromise on women's issues. They must discredit the so-called war on women and recognize they will never win in key elections if they continue to make public gaffes regarding abortion or call for the overturn of Roe v. Wade. All in all, I believe Republicans must move closer to the center, much like my boss in Congress has done. They must appear as politicians willing to cross the aisle and bolster their bipartisan agendas. A winning Republican Party will only exist as a much more moderate Republican Party.
Haley, Jeff, thank you for joining us today.